That's the kit you have got. Quite some stuff, right? But to get started, all we need is this much. We need the main chassis board, two wheels, a caster wheel, four wedges or stubs, eight small bolts, four long bolts, four small nuts, four spacers, and two motors with wires we have earlier soldered. The chassis board and four wedges have a protective covering. Let's take a closer look. This wedge is covered with paper on both the sides. We'll use an object that's not too sharp and gently scrape the paper off from one of the corners. Roll over the turned out part of the paper and peel it off. Do it slowly and it'll come out in one piece. Let's do the same thing for the other side as well. Looks good. Do the same thing for the remaining wedges and the chassis board. Wow, things look so nice and shiny. Examine the main chassis board carefully. See the plus shaped slot on one side and also on the other side. Also see two minus shaped slots nearby. Notice the two notches in line with the minus shaped slots on the outer edges. The way it's placed, mark the left side as L and the right side of it as R. This will help us identify the motors after mounting. Now press one wedge through the minus shaped slot. Let's call it the inner wedge, since it's towards the center of the chassis. Take a closer look. Hold the motor along the wedge and orient the soldering side inside the chassis and align its shaft with the plus shaped slot. Hold it so the motor doesn't fall off while doing so. Take another wedge. Place it in the notch at the outer edge. Let's call it the outer wedge. Now take a nut and a long bolt. From the outer edge of the chassis, slide the long bolt through the outer wedge, the motor, and finally the inner wedge. Same way, slide another long bolt through. You can now secure these bolts with nuts. Align a nut with the bolt and rotate it with hand so it gets over the bolt. You will be a little cramped for space for the other nut, and so for that, just hold the nut on the tip of the bolt and rotate the bolt head instead. Bit of practice and you will be fine. Now tighten the screw lightly using a screwdriver. While rotating it, arrest the nut with your other hand. Repeat the same steps for the other motor. We'll now attach the caster wheel on the chassis, and it has 4 mounting holes. Find 4 holes on the chassis that match with the caster wheel. On one of these, we'll mount a spacer. From the underside of the board, put a small bolt through and fix the spacer by rotating it. Do the same for all 4 spacers. Align and place the caster wheel so its holes match with the spacers and fasten it using 4 small bolts. Done. See, the caster wheel rotates along 2 directions. It's required to do so when the rover moves while steering. Look for a long slot near the soldering end of the motor. take the two wires through it to the other side of the board. It will prevent the wires getting stuck in the wheel. Do the same for the other set of wire. Now we come to the final part of the assembly, the wheel itself. And pay attention. Take a closer look at the central part of the wheel. See, it has a rectangular hole actually, and not a circular one as it appears. This helps the motor shaft hold it without any slippage. Both the wheels have similar rectangular holes. The same goes for the motor shaft also. It also has a rectangular shape. We need to fix the wheels on both the motors. Here, we can use an extra wire to keep a small clearing between the wheel and the motor body. Loop the wire over the shaft, align the wheel a bit over the shaft, and use your thumbs and fingers to press the wheel over it. Finally, remove the wire when you are done. This is an important step. Let's see it once more. Loop a wire over the shaft, press the wheel on it, then remove the wire. We are done, guys. Now we have a nice chassis on which we can place a lot of things like the Arduino board, motor driver, batteries. You see, the motor wires are also available on the top for the control signals. Great.